This is the Pine Men.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Pine Man.
I feel like that's always what happens.
Yeah, I know, right? So I'm feeling a little goofy about this right now because we have a little bit of an audio situation going on.
My microphone is crapping out on me a little bit, so we're using the regular the computer microphone. So there's gonna it's not gonna be the same, but hopefully it's good enough.
Yeah, in fact, actually, hold on. Let me just. I'll be able to see it quick. Just checking something. Let's find out in a moment. Oh, I'm like twice as loud as you. Okay.
Twice as loud.
Maybe not that much, but I'm gonna have to bump you up significantly.
Bump it up.
Or turn myself down, but
Please turn yourself down. Do what you gotta do.
we'll do a little bit of both.
I would say turn yourself down, especially if you're still bumping in the red.
Yeah, I'm not as much anymore. It's in fact I don't. A little bit, Okay,
I'm not
but I think I might have to bump you up as well, though.
a little bit. Okay.
This is just that live experience that
The way
you
that
come here for.
This is just that live experience.
Oh wait, where is that coming from now?
You come here for.
Oh, are you watching it?
I was watching it. Yeah.
Okay.
Where's that coming
What do
from?
you think about the audio? What?
It's just funny.
Or is yours is it good?
I don't know. It's probably fine.
Let me see.
The I don't know if it'll be better, but I have the AirPods. I could use that microphone.
To be honest, I don't even think it's bad. Like
Alright.
mine just sounds more like full, so it
It
sounds
might just be
louder.
yeah. That
But
makes
I'm
a lot of
lowering
sense.
myself a little bit more. Like I think it'll be okay. I don't know. What do we think? Yeah, we're
Well,
good.
the audio experience of this episode is going to be a little different. We're a little different. But
Yeah,
hopefully by
guys.
next week I'll have this sorted out, so we'll be all right. I
Yeah,
think I just
we're
need to get a new USB cable, ideally. But if it's more than that, I'll have to do what I'll have to do.
yep. This is actually just more of like an artistic choice. We're just going with a different audio style for this episode. So leave your feedback in the comments and let us know what you think. You know?
Is it better to sound worse?
Yeah.
Well, actually, to be fair, it, I've always, I've always kind of cherished that sentiment, going back to making. Well, but here we go, tying it all together, making music.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, actually, yeah. In fact, that thing that we just made for fun, the Christmas song, intentionally throwing, vinyl, like kind of crackle over it and stuff,
Oh
just to
yeah,
give it that wholesome vibe. Technically, you're kind of just intentionally making it sound worse
that's
by
true.
some standards.
Yeah. So I mean, you get what you get sometimes, and I'm not complaining. I'm glad we're out here in the first place. So
Yeah,
leave it at that.
for sure.
But
But yeah, so it's New Year. The holidays are done. We had you know, our first ever designated holiday special. And naturally that meant that we just wore sweaters. That was pretty much the only thing holiday about it.
I mean, we had a holiday. We made a holiday song.
Oh yeah, true. That's
Holiday
that's
song.
pretty holiday.
Well, we'll listen to the holiday song eventually,
Yeah. Oh my god.
or we'll put it out and you can listen to it yourselves.
I know. I wish I. Oh man, I don't even have like the one with the vocals on it
Oh,
on this computer that I could play right now. But
mhm.
there are some good lines in there. Seriously. Like um I don't know. It's like you really gotta have the context. What? Which one?
Stony Brook University was my first home. Is that
Yeah,
what-
that's like an all-time classic now. And also the one where it's like, I bought my son a pistol, and I said, "Hey, don't misuse that." And he said, "I think I got a pretty strong hand." And then he said, "You can't even grip the grip." And then he said, "His father, I would kill a man in the street just to watch him die." Like, I'm just like, where? This is just, I don't like. And basically, I don't know. I'm like, that's not exactly how it goes. It flows nicer than that, but
Yeah, that's not a quote, but it's
right.
that's
But
the
it,
context.
yeah, that's pretty much the gist. And we love that around here. Just a little absurdity. You know?
Yeah, little violence.
Yeah. I loved when it started getting into like, it's actually funny. Like, you know how last week we were talking off stream or whatever, and we were talking about that and we listened to it and stuff, and then at the very end of the song, you're like, now you're probably thinking this guy fucking hates Christmas, but I don't. I'm just trying to show you how life can be, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I thought you were just joking, trying to be like deep for the sake of like, being kind of ironic. But as I've been like listening to the song a bunch over the past week, it's like, honestly, the message in that song is seriously good. Like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
yeah, like it's not just silly. Like, it's actually a good message. Like,
I'm glad that you see that.
yeah, like I got it the first time, but I thought it was kind of like, oh, he's sprinkling in a little bit of serious messaging with like a little bit of absurd stuff.
I think it all ties together. Pretty
Yeah,
nicely.
I just didn't realize that it was so tied together. Like, I don't know, just kind of showing like, you know, man, we're kind of forced to enjoy and celebrate this happy holiday, and all I want to do is just, it's just coming on too hard. I don't know, pretty much, you know. One of the best parts is when you're like the end, the very end, when you're like, they say it's family time or whatever, and it's like, they say stand in line at a Walmart or a ShopRite or whatever, and then it's like, and then you're like, I don't know, and then the part where the thing that really made it click was when you were saying like, uh I like, I love what I love and the people I love, and their time is my time, and it's our time or whatever. And then you're like, now I know what you're thinking. This guy probably fucking hates Christmas, but I don't hate Christmas. I'm just trying to show you what it's all about and what life can be, or something like that. And it
That's
sounds,
not what it's all about, or something.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, it that part's off, but it's, and what life can be. And there's something, people who don't know this, like obviously anybody who watches this, no one's ever heard that song besides us.
Anybody besides us doesn't hear in this earth.
Right, no one else in the world will know what.
Everyone's unfamiliar with the pop hit of the of the first pop hit of 2023.
Yeah, exactly. But if you do ever have the privilege, the joy of hearing it, it's just the little detail of how you say like, and what life can be. Like, it just sounds like you're so like
I'm a good voice actor.
so serious and like just like kind of like I don't know. There's something about it. Like, you sound so serious and like almost afraid to say it, but you sound like so like it has to be said. Like, what life can be.
I'm glad that I'm glad I am as good at emoting as I think that I am.
Dude, that's like the whole song. It's like, I just the fact that, like, when you're going from like the first time I heard it, I was like, oh wow, yeah, like there's cool melodies and stuff. Like, yeah, oh my god, some of these lyrics are really funny and stuff like that. Nice, this is good. Like, that's kind of how I took it. But the more I listened to it, I was like, this is like a real thing. Like, that's so funny, and it's awesome. And it's like 15 minutes long of just like one take. You can literally hear like background noise sometimes of you like doing other stuff, and like I don't know, it's just like when you like, it starts off very like, kind of, it right off the bat it gave me like kind of a, for some reason I always think of I saw this video a long time ago of like John Lennon with someone else recording in like, I guess it must have been like the mid to late 70s, and I don't know, just like in this like wooden studio or whatever. Like I don't know, it just gives me that vibe of like that you're just like all right. And then it's like it just comes in like so somber but like I don't know, like it sounds like you I don't know how to put this into words. It sounds like you have this like laid back coolness about it. Like can't be bothered. But then it goes into parts where you sound almost like slightly getting a little deranged, and then it like comes back into just like so it'll be like whatever like I would kill a man in the just to watch him die in the street. Christmas, like it comes so hard or whatever. Like it just coming back to like oh let's forget about what was just said. Let's move right back into the main thing. Forget about that. Okay, Christmas. You know, like I don't know. It's just cool. Whatever.
Feels good.
I'm going on and on
I
about this, and no
am
one.
so happy. It makes me so happy that you enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, I love it. And seriously, just being able to just send stuff back and forth on GarageBand, like the whole GarageBand files, and being able to edit, it's gonna be so much fun to do that.
Oh yeah. And let me say this on here, just so you know, hold ourselves accountable for it. There will be a Pineman album this year.
Okay, this is news to me, but I'm.
There will. We talked about it last time we talked.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
I said we could do. We could. I'm like, I'm like, I bet we could make an album this year. You were like,
Yeah,
I bet we could.
yeah. So
It doesn't matter. It might be one song long,
could be.
but I'm telling you, there will be a Pineman album this year.
Yeah, it could be a compilation of like 3 jam sessions or something. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it could be one.
Actually,
It could be two more 15-minute songs. Who knows?
could be. Could be like 12.
It could be a 30-second long song and the song that we already made.
I
don't know.
It could be 12 3.5 minute long songs that flow into each other and tell a story. Who knows? You know?
It could be anything. We don't know. It might not even. There might not be like any cohesion to it at all.
There might not be. Actually, I
We
kind
might
of.
have some dance tracks. We might have some smooth R&B. We
Yeah.
might have some, weird psychedelic trance.
Yeah.
We might have some spoken word shit. I don't know what's gonna
I could
happen.
already
It doesn't
tell
have to
you
be
that there's
perfect.
probably going to be a little bit of. Let's just put it this way: the inspiration for the song is. I mean, I guess this is kind of subconscious, but as I play it, I always think about for all you gamers out there. In Final Fantasy VII, when you go to the Golden Saucer, or actually, I don't even know if no, it's like basically Kate Sith's or however you pronounce that, like music, like where it's that like kind of. I don't know how to describe it. Like there's a way to describe it, but I guess I think of it as kind of like a jazzy, like kind of bluesy sort of like I don't know, like a jazzy like the type of thing you would imagine hearing when like kind of like you're chilling at a lounge and you're like kind of like
Oh, okay.
a little bit of like the boss, not like a hardcore mob boss. You're just kind of like, and it's just like, boo doo 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 boom 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 boo
Oh,
doo
yeah,
doo
that's all.
boom boom boo doo doo doo.
There'll be a little bit of horns involved.
A little what?
Horns? Are you thinking piano?
I'm thinking, yeah, it's probably both. You know.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I just want to have fun with it, especially since after getting a guitar for the first time when I was 13 years old, I just realized, like a couple weeks ago, that, like EQing a track is not that hard. Like it's actually pretty
Oh.
straightforward and simple, and like you kind of, I mean, obviously to be a master at it, I'm sure it's very hard, but like to just get a good sound, like a better sound,
Yeah.
I feel like a damn magician. It's
I
amazing.
think one of the biggest things that helped me with producing or having a more that there's no correct way to do it.
Exactly. That's
You know,
kind of how
there's
I
a
was.
lot of
Yeah.
different techniques that you can learn, but there's no like it's wrong. It's just how does it sound? Does it sound good or bad?
Right. As I was actually making that little Christmas song, I was like, all right, I want this to sound really like, old, like lo-fi basically. And so I was like, I looked up like how do you do that? And when I saw that you just like put in like, I guess he called it like a high pass filter, and just like basically cut the high frequencies out of the thing, and then it just sounds more like old and muffled. Like it's just it and less bright. Like
Yeah.
you could just do that with everything. Like I literally was going through. I'm like looking at vocals that I had on other GarageBand tracks or whatever. I mean projects, and like there are certain things where I'm like, like I record like a lot of not a lot, but lately I've been kind of doing it sort of a lot of stuff on there, and like so I'll have like some falsetto vocals, and I'm just kind of like, you can hear like kind of, like I'm going for like a vibe of like I want to sound almost like angelic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can kind of tell that I'm like a 30-plus-year-old man. Like you can kind of tell that I have like somewhat of like a deepness to my voice. Not that my voice is deep, but you know what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah.
so I'm like,
Crunch. A little bit of crunch.
what?
A little bit of a crunch.
Kinda, yeah, but more, yeah, just whatever. And but then you could just like go in there and just like lower some of like the low mid or like just general mid, I guess, things. I just literally lowered a part and then dragged it through a few times, like just moved it over a little more, and then I was like, oh, that I kind of found the point of the vocal take that I don't really, the tone of it that I think is making it sound not as good as it would be. And then you just lower that, and then it kind of emphasizes the higher part a little more, and it's just like, oh. If anyone's like a professional producer or something like that, I might sound like a total idiot, but
That doesn't matter.
I'm just having fun with it, and it feels like a fun thing that you could do that just makes me feel like, oh my god, I don't have to just be like, well, this is just GarageBand Violin 1, you know what I mean? Like, I can make it kind of have like a different characteristic to it, It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I haven't fucked with GarageBand so much, but the other night I was playing with it a bit, and I was saying to you too, there's like a whole pedal board and stuff you can play with, so you could really start like you can make some weird sounding stuff
Yeah, it's gonna be
that I was
cool.
unaware of.
I can't wait to just well, I say I can't wait. I mean, I could do it anytime I want, I guess, but I'm looking forward to doing a lot of stuff with that with you. Like it's just I it's just perfect timing because like in the past my like mindset towards this stuff was like so like narrow, you know what I mean? I just was like I want to do this. Like I just want it to be like this. I want to do this. This is what I like. This is what I want to do. But like ever since like we started doing this and like once I got my laptop and I finally had like a digital audio workstation or whatever, I was like I don't know. I've just been going into it kind of just more like let's see what happens this time. And sometimes it's like literally a full-blown electronic dance track, and sometimes it's like I'm like, oh, I need an acoustic guitar for this one or whatever, like
Yeah.
so it's gonna be cool, and I can't wait to see like. I used to think like using like a lot of pedals on your guitar or whatever was like I have nothing against that, and I like music that does that, but I was like, oh well, I don't really want to do that. I want to keep it kind of minimal and all this stuff. Now I'm like, let's just see what happens. I don't know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
get
It's a good way
wild
to
with it.
be more open.
Yeah.
You know?
So
And you start to experiment with more stuff.
yeah, it's gonna
Yeah,
be
it's funny that for a long time in life, generally, and music too, but like, yeah, pigeonholed myself too much, thinking that I knew what was good and what was bad,
yeah.
kind of. And I've had a lot of changes in my life over the past year and more, where I've started like I've stopped fighting, like, I've stopped being so stubborn about things, and stopped like thinking that like there's only one way or whatever, bullshit type of stuff that people think.
Yeah.
And it's been very good to be more open. And the thing too, I talk about this sometimes with people because it's so often that like people just simply don't like other people. Like that's a classic example of this on like a large scale where people just are like, I don't like them
Yeah.
just for no reason. And I was like that way for a long time too.
Musically or just in general?
No, just like you go into a building,
Oh,
you
okay.
see a man or a woman, and you're like, I don't like them.
Yeah,
People do that.
people have done
I've
that.
it.
Yeah.
Everyone has done.
Yeah.
Not good. So and it's so much nicer when you enter a building and you say, "What's going on in here?"
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely a much better outlook. I'm not a huge the title of the stream is kind of a joke, but like um but a new year did happen, and basically I don't know why I'm making it sound like this whole big thing, but I'm just going into this year. I know I normally don't think about like New Year's resolutions, but I'm just gonna just try to be less negative. That's it.
That's a good way to
You know
go.
what I mean? That's it.
It's a good way to go.
That's the
Yeah,
start.
this girl asked me on New Year's Eve what my New Year's resolution was, and I said, I don't do that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
The face that she gave me when I said that, though, I was like, I like felt bad for a second. I was like,
Yeah.
because I'm like, what's yours? I don't think she might have told me, but I don't remember.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's
I don't know. The New Year's resolution thing has kind of always been odd to me because it's like I think you gotta like adjust on the fly a lot more, and I think getting in
exactly.
that headspace of like, and honestly, living in a headspace too, where when people like are like, I'm not gonna drink, or like I'm not gonna do this anymore.
Right.
I'm gonna stop doing this. I don't necessarily always feel like um well, here's the first thing, right? If you most of the time when you're talking about it a lot, it's because it's a social thing and it's not just like an individual choice.
Mhm.
So it usually doesn't stick majority of the time with people when they talk about things that they're not going to do anymore.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't want to do it, but like I'm still going to do it, and I'll have regrets sometimes. There's a lot to
Seems
say
to be
about that
right.
whole.
I don't think most people follow through on their New Year's resolutions or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a whole thing. Like it like to really change who you are takes a lot of like strength and dedication and like what's the word? Yeah, like determination. Like you have to be really like you have to really try to like change your habits and your whatever. Even if you think that another way is better, it's not enough to just be like, oh, if I didn't drink as much, it would be better. You have to like not want to drink anymore. And honestly, the abstract of like it'll be better doesn't necessarily get to the root of why you drink it in the first place. And I mean, this is obvious. And same thing with people who want to lose weight and all this stuff. It's like, okay, that's a fine thing to want to do, but like, why do you do it? Why do you know what stopped you this long from doing it? What is like pay attention to those things and ah,
Yeah. Oh, what is there a bot up in?
their
Damn,
first
that's
time
weird.
chat.
But okay.
Anyway,
But anyway, like yeah, no, I that is something that I've realized this year. Getting that's something I realized this year, like that I didn't realize before, like stuff like that, like exactly what you just said. Like you said, it's obvious, but I don't know. Like I don't think a lot of people think of it that way. Like I think most people do think like I just need to lose weight. There's something wrong with me. Why do I eat a lot? Like why don't
yeah,
I exercise more? I need to drink less. What's wrong with me? Why do I drink so much? Whatever. I need to do whatever. Um, and it really is. Even things like, oh, I need to whatever. I need to spend more time at home with the wife and kids or something. It's like
mm,
it's not like, like I don't know. I just never really used to look at things like, well, why don't I like ever exercise? Why do I like sometimes like be like, oh, I'm gonna have like 2 beers and then I have like 8. You know what I mean? Like, why do I do that? Like, I just thought like, oh well, I'm pathetic. Like, I have no willpower. You know what I mean? But it's
mm,
like, it just don't. It's not. Life is not that simple. Like, there's nothing that you're supposed to be doing. It's like,
yeah,
what do I want, and why is it that I'm acknowledging that this behavior is like preventing me kind of from achieving, the goals that I have and being the exact version of myself that I would like to be, or at least work towards.
yeah,
Why am I still doing it? It's like, that's like a much more important question than just like I just need to stop doing what I'm doing and that's it.
yeah.
basically what you
I mean,
said, but
I
yeah.
genuinely like don't feel like that it works most of the time, right?
Right,
And you
exactly.
have,
That's
people end up getting, they go in and out of, rehab places if it's a drug or alcohol problem, or they like, you know, start and end like really weird, harsh like diets,
yeah, right,
you know,
exactly.
or like, or they get a surgery that like, makes their stomach smaller, or whatever the fuck it is, without ever addressing the reasons why they self harm via food.
Yeah, yeah.
You
No,
know what I mean?
exactly.
It's like,
Right.
so I mean, it's it's just like we very often kind of just stop at the surface level of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, society reinforces this all the time, and I'm not, it's no blame to anybody, but it's extremely important to try at least a little bit to look at yourself, and it's one of the most difficult things to do. Don't get me wrong. I mean, and that's why, for a little bit of a rant, but I mean, to people are important, and that like having people feel honest to talk to you about who you are and stuff too is really important, and to
Hmm.
listen to other people when they tell you stuff about yourself, because it's difficult to see yourself, you
Yeah.
know. And we don't live in a society where it's like okay to like, or like okay to talk about shit with people, and we have a whole kind of like social structure that kind of prevents us from wanting to engage in like very serious conversation with our peers and our friends and our, stuff. So a lot of people just, they feel like they have no choice but to stuff down all like their weird feelings, so they don't think it's okay to talk about, and no one cares because everyone has their own shit, but no one's even paying attention to their own shit, and we're all just like walking around in pain all the time because we're all so fucking caught up.
So true. Yeah.
So it's stupid.
Yeah, and
But
I
the other
actually
day,
sorry, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
You go ahead.
The other day,
Yeah.
I was talking to a friend of mine about like relationships and stuff, right? And he's talking about this girl that he can't get over,
Right, okay.
and I'm like, you have to take a look at yourself and see what it is about this person that has you hung up, right? Because it's kind of like, I don't know. It's almost like it's like naive to assume that like it just is that way. Like I'm just like, I was just attracted to them, and now I'm heartbroken that they don't want to be around me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
That's
like,
such a
and
good
they didn't
point.
do anything. I'm like, it's not them, it's you that's
Right.
causing yourself to be in this place of heartbreak at the end of the day.
Right.
So what about this person made you feel like hurt that they're not like around you anymore? It's like a
Yeah.
rejection thing. You go back to your childhood, or was it a past relationship? Do you feel insecure? Like I'm talking to like talking about this kind of stuff, and it's like, like I can't just be like, ah, yeah. Like anytime someone tells me something, I'm like, all right, let's get into it. I gotta
Yeah,
talk about
yeah, yeah. I know
it,
what you mean. Yeah. It's
and it's true. It taught me a lot to like really look at the things that I do and why, and like what I really want. You
mhm.
know,
Yeah,
like
no, that's the one of the hardest things to figure out. I think about this stuff like every day. Like the things that I like try to do or whatever. I'm like I feel so uncertain sometimes about like why do I feel like I even want to do this? Like do I even want to do this? Like it's like cuz it's just with anything or like with it could be like a job thing, a relationship thing, a friendship thing,
mhm.
even just like little activities that you do, like playing a video game or like watching like YouTube videos or watching anything. Like you're like, hey, why do I do this? When you think about it, it really like you can follow that thread as far back as and as you can imagine, and pretty much it all ends up with kind of like when you were a little kid, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I think a lot of people who like to sit at home in their room on their computer watching like YouTube videos of like the same couple people like oh I really like watching Asmongold and XQC and whatever
Mhm.
Pokimane or whatever,
Yeah.
and it's like I don't know that there's probably just something about that that makes you feel kind of like welcomed and safe and like these people just kind of we're kind of just on the same wavelength,
Yeah.
but
But it's
desiring
also
that
it's
connect.
I would say it's the human need for community that keep like those things
Right.
specifically. The rise of like live streaming and stuff like that is very much like tied to that need of like yeah feeling like you're part of something
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
you have this like friend that's there that's not there.
Right, exactly. And like,
you know.
yeah, and I think a lot of that does have to do with I don't know, you're kind of cuz it I think to a lot of people it kind of feels like that. Like I'm kind of like hanging out with my friend, but there's no pressure. Like there's no like you don't have
Yeah.
to act funny or cool or you don't have to, engage in conversation and pay attention and, you can kind of just be 100% yourself and it feels like there's someone who just kind of gets you, you know what I mean? Like there's something about them. They just get me, they would get me if we knew each other, like that's
Yeah.
kind of what I think a lot of people sort of are subconsciously thinking a little bit. And I think that's just like supernatural, but it's like, that's the thing. Like yeah, it's natural to feel that way about people sometimes, but you know having thousands of people 24/7 live streaming their lives that you can access at any time and tune in, and like they're the same people with communities where other people that you feel like they get me too, kind of, you know what I mean? Like like
Yeah.
everyone will be like, I don't know, like in like I mentioned Asmongold, whatever, because like it'll be like, I don't know, like they have their little inside jokes that they always like will say, and it's kind of like, oh, you feel like you're part of something, like you just said, and like just feels like without having to do anything or show anything or like be challenged by anything or just anything,
Mm.
it just feels like you just are accepted by a community that you like and identify with, like right off the bat. So that's so
Yeah.
easy compared to like going out, meeting people, thinking people are cool, but then like, oh my god, I've been hanging out with this guy for like 3 weeks, and then like we went out the other weekend, and like he was like berating the bartender, like, what the fuck, this guy's an asshole, you know what I mean? Like, not that that happened to me, but I'm saying I can imagine something like, you know what I mean? That's more complicated than just like, this guy plays a game I like, and like he's funny and he's successful, so he must be good, you know what I mean? So not that I like Asmongold or whatever, I play WoW, but
Yeah.
it's
I
just,
don't
I'm
know.
not knocking him, I'm just saying it's like a weird
No, it
concept.
doesn't feel like you are. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is really interesting. Just like I'm thinking, is it actually difficult to make friends? Because I feel like it seems like it's always seemed that way to me until it wasn't that
I
way.
know. Yeah, that's a good question
Like,
because I know exactly what you mean. Because is it difficult to make friends? Technically, no, it's really easy. But is it difficult to build up your self esteem and your self image to a point where you feel comfortable enough to walk into situations where you very well may be like rejected, sorta, or just kind of like misunderstood and made to feel like you're not cool or something, Like,
yeah,
a lot of people can't really deal with that, and they'll turn around and be like, no, I just don't care, and it's like, okay, I'm sure it feels that like you don't care, but it's like, like it's like I don't care because
yeah.
like I'm already content with what I have or whatever, but it's like,
Oh yeah, yeah,
but
absolutely.
I'm just saying, it's like, okay, so you don't care, I don't know, it's complicated, but I'm saying if you are out there looking to make friends or whatever and it's just like that, yeah, I think, yeah.
You're like you're instead of just like being or at least like attempting to be like present, you're like in your head too much thinking about comparing yourself to other people
Oh
and
yeah.
like playing that whole fucking game that all it does is like eh, just creates like a really boring and toxic environment to like be in and live in your own like in your own fucking head.
Yeah, I don't even
I
think,
think I mean
yeah, go ahead.
well with I mean like when I lived in Brooklyn and stuff, right, that was a very common way of just thinking all the time,
Mm-hmm.
kind of. It kind of honestly like goes back to forever because
Mm-hmm.
even as a kid it was like that. Like, yeah, I felt like it had to be like guarded and like protect your little baby fragile ego from
I
getting hurt
couldn't
by
agree
the one who
more.
doesn't get you.
Yeah.
And it's still obviously I still like, to some extent fear like rejection, but
Yeah.
to a much lesser extent than I've ever, you know.
Right. It's like you get to a point where you fear it the same way, like whatever, if you have to get a blood test. Like you don't want to get the needle, right? You don't want to. You're kind of like ugh, and it stings a little, but you're not curled up in your bedroom being like, "Oh, am I ever going to learn how to talk to people?" You know, like you're just
Yeah,
you do it, it sucks a little bit and then you just move past it and it's no big deal. But like I remember like when I was in high school and stuff like that, I used to think that that would be like the end of the world and like every negative thing I've ever thought about myself has just been confirmed and
yeah,
everyone knows and they see right through the disguise and they just know like, oh, he just got exposed as the most pathetic human being who's ever lived. I
yeah.
kind of knew it all along, but he just proved it. You know, like meanwhile it's legitimately like then once you kind of get more comfortable with yourself, it just becomes the type of thing where you're just like it just literally just kind of becomes funny. Like I mean, it's like who cares? I
Totally.
mean, some random
Well, that's
stranger
like,
doesn't automatically like me the moment that they meet me. Okay, like who cares?
it is funny how quickly you see that though too, right? When you because you get both at the same time, kind of, right? Because the more you oh, got the fire truck going by, the more you open yourself up to interacting with people, obviously the likelihood of being rejected by people goes up as well.
Mm-hmm.
But you also are getting the positive responses from people,
Yeah.
and so if you were able to look at it like that and like see and like actually this is the main thing, really pay attention to what the fuck you're doing and like how you're going about it, and if you're somebody who engages socially and people don't like you, there's something going on there.
Oh yeah. If you're just getting rejected by every single person you meet, yeah, yeah, that's probably stuff. But
You know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
saying like, oh, even that. It's not like, oh, you're yeah. In that case, you actually are the most pathetic person in the world. No, not at
No, of
all.
course not.
It's
Nobody is anything.
right. It's
Nobody exists in a fixed state.
exactly. It's we are just the stories we tell ourselves. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. Well, that's the thing. We're really what we. But then you peel that back a little bit, and really, what we are is just I don't know, just life forms that just happen to exist. Like just somehow we just exist, and then everyone wants to act like it's like, oh well, girls have long hair and boys have short hair, and girls like pink and boys like blue. And if you wear black clothing, that means that you are more like rebellious or something. And if you wear, like whatever, if you wear white New Balances, that means you're an unfashionable dad. Like it's like yeah,
Or you're extremely high fashion.
oh yeah, true. Now it's probably like you're cool. But yeah, it's like bro, you're just literally a monkey who just learned how to talk or something, and then and use tools like, and then yeah, and yet society has us spending our whole lives. If it's up to them. If just society. I'm not saying there's a secret, people pulling the strings. I just mean like that's just called the people who are pulling the strings. They're not secret. It's just called capital owners. But besides that, it's just like what you are. It's like we are spending our whole lives being like, well, I'm like, yeah, like I'm a good, whatever. I'm talking about this from the point of view of someone who's like 22 years old, just graduated college, right? It's like you probably think of yourself as like, oh well, yeah, I was a good student or like bad student, and like, yeah, I had like a good childhood or bad childhood, and yeah, like I had or obviously not everything's so black and white, but I just mean like some variation of that. And then like, oh yeah, yeah, I like baseball and I like skateboarding and I like I'm like a nice guy, like like stuff like that. It's just like it's just kind of like you see yourself, you think that that's like who you are just cuz you're just doing that. And you've just been doing it for a long time. If you just really don't, if you think like what do I actually like? And you don't, and you realize like you do stuff just out of habit that you don't really like and you just like have no interest in. It's like So you're not someone who's like, oh, I really like math or whatever. I can't think of a great example, but people who are like, oh, I love, I'm a good student, like whatever. I'm picturing the type of family who would be like having their little 6-year-old like taking like piano classes, like 4 hours, like to try to be really good at piano or whatever, and then they are growing up and they're like, oh, I play piano, whatever, but they don't actually want to do it or like it or anything like that, but it's just something they've been doing for a long time and they think it's like part of their identity now or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of an example where like, yeah, it's like,
Well, even like with stuff that we think that we like too, I mean, it's fun and important, I think, to actually take a step and inspect it, right? Because even when it comes to like, growing up, right, from like, I've always, loved music. Okay, everyone loves music; it's regular.
yeah,
But like, then you start, you start playing music, right? And then like you identify as a guy who plays music, but you don't identify as just a guy who plays music, right? Because you're a specific type of guy
this
playing a
is, yeah,
specific type of music, right?
right,
But are you, or are you just the guy that the specific type of guy talking about the specific? It's like
right. You just kind of,
it's
it's like picture like rocks, picture like rocks on the
yeah.
ground. Like, you know what those are? No, yeah. Picture rocks, okay? Just this is crazy. Just imagine rocks.
Join us. We're all looking at
Okay.
rocks.
Now imagine there's water being poured on it.
Okay.
It can trickle any which way throughout the little crevices in the rocks, but like it's gonna kind of end up mostly in one spot. You know what I mean? And it's like
Yeah.
you're just deciding. You're not realizing like just because I'm here doesn't mean like this is just like, well, this is just what I am and who I am and this is just it. It's like with the you can just kind of be like, oh wait, yeah, like I'm in this little puddle here, but like I'm also not just water. I could just get up and walk over there. You know what I mean? Like
That's true to an extent, but first you have to. This is this is the funny thing.
right. It's not that simple. That's the thing. You got to
Well,
kind
this
of
is the funny. Well, hold
learn
on.
that you're not water. Or so, like,
Well, let me. I have a friend of mine that I if I was asked if I believe in free will, I would say that I don't. Right?
fair.
And he firmly believes in free will.
Okay.
And then one of his arguments was that uh that that we do make choices,
Okay.
you know. And I was like, the only choice that we ever really make is to pay attention to stuff. That's it, and
Okay.
that's not even really a choice.
Yeah. But
But that's like the only choice that I can really find when
yeah,
we
yeah,
were
yeah.
talking
Okay.
about multiple times for long periods of time. But that's like the only like because like you via but you I mean obviously you learn about these things because you get to the place where you learn about these things, right?
Right.
Someone tells you about them. You're not just born knowing how to do stuff.
Yeah.
Someone tells you about something or you see a video or whatever it is, and then you now you're paying attention to this new thing that you never thought of before,
Right.
and it changes the way that you interact with the world.
Right.
But that's it. But I wouldn't consider that even free will. That's just paying attention to different stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if
And
we've
this is
even.
the thing, right? Learning how to get up and walk. Because I like, and I've said this on here before, I'm sure, but my little mental metaphor of life is a river, right? It's
Oh,
just
okay.
a river,
Yeah.
we're just going.
Which is
We're just
basically
going.
kind of rocks with water going near it. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. So when you were saying that, I was like, okay, he gets the
Okay.
whole thing. But like, truly, you're going. The worst thing you could possibly try to do, really, is fight against the current.
Right. I agree with that. But
You
yeah,
know,
with
but
that,
learning
yeah.
how to pay attention to more stuff, it does give it changes the way the river flows.
Right.
You know,
Exactly. Right.
so
Yeah. The river thing's better, and you've said that before, so I probably even subconsciously got that from you in a
but I
way.
like I mean the rocks because it's if you want to get someplace else and you're stuck in a puddle, you have to learn how to pay attention to things outside of the puddle first.
Right. That's what I mean. Like it's like that. I guess that's why I didn't use like river. Instead, it's like you're settling in a place. Like there's an end point. You know what I mean? Because it's like, so here I am. This is who I am. You know what I mean? The music thing was a good example, analogy, whatever. Because it's like, whatever, I could relate to that, and I kind of just mentioned it. Like I was closed-minded with like musical stuff because I did exactly what you just said. Like I was like, oh, like I wasn't like, oh, I just love music. Oh my god, like let me learn how to do this. Oh my god, out of all the different things I've experimented with, guitar is one of the instruments that I really enjoy. Wow, I just love the tactile feedback I get from
Yeah.
hitting those strings. Like no, it was just like it was like, oh my god, like honestly, in my mind, what I think about is like seeing like the "Smells Like Teen Spirit" music video and hearing that song, and I was just like, you could just do that, like what the hell?
Yeah.
And I just thought like that whole thing was cool. But even with that, it's like, why did I think that? I think, just off the top of my head, I would imagine that it's probably sort of like, well, let me finish what I was saying first. So it's like I got into that, and then it's like, oh, okay, I like like rock, and then it's like, oh no, I like punk stuff. I don't like normal rock, like, and then it's like, oh no, I like hardcore stuff. I don't like just like normal stuff. Like, oh wait, yeah, no, I like metal too. Stuff like that. And it
Yeah.
progresses, but it's like, okay, well, why did that path even get set in motion and all this stuff? Is it because I decided to do that stuff? No, I think it's because I felt, looking back, I mean, I think it's because I probably felt like unable to, just my home environment and like the way that primed me to act in school, to be kind of very quiet and like closed off, and like at home and like there, like it didn't really feel like I could really express myself that much. And then seeing someone just like totally say like fuck you to all that stuff and just do something that's like, you're gonna be like frowned upon for that. How are you okay with that? Everyone's gonna think you're bad. You have long hair and you're like, jeans are ripped, and you're like yelling, and you're just like saying stuff that doesn't even make perfect sense, and like you're just like, I was like, oh my god, but I think it's just, I was already set up to just be like amazed by like be people who are just rejecting the norms and being like, yeah, F that, I'm just gonna do it this way instead. And like, I just found that appealing, and then I liked the sound of it or whatever. It's like, so did I choose to, whatever. It's like
I know.
everything just kind of sets you in motion for other stuff that leads you to something else, and you're not in control of it really. It's just kind of happening.
Yeah. Well, that's the big thing too, and it's funny because you know it just keeps leading you. Because here's a good example too of like who like what who okay, a
Mhm.
pianist, right?
Okay.
They are, that's who they are.
Right. Okay.
That's how they see themselves in the world, right? And then they lose their hands in an accident or some shit.
Yeah.
Now who are they? Are they a pianist who can't play piano anymore,
Mm.
or are they something else?
Right. Exactly. And I think, I mean, personally, I think it's just, they're just the person they were before, but now you don't have hands, and like it's just, it
Oh
sucks.
no.
And like you're just now a person who's like devastated about, probably devastated about not being able to do a hobby that you love. Sure. Or like maybe even if it's more than a hobby to you, it's like you love the lifestyle or whatever. It's like, yeah, that
What's
stuff
the
is like,
lifestyle of a pianist?
well, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, like you
No, I'm
love
just curious.
practicing,
What would you? Oh, okay.
you love sitting. No, those they're always like, going out to like
Pianist?
Italian restaurants on Sunday nights and then like drinking red wine. Like that's what they always do. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of a
I would love
random
to
thing
do
that
that.
has nothing to do
I
with
might
playing
be.
piano. But actually, that does sound like
What
something.
about that though too? It's funny. That's a whole thing, right?
What?
I'm really on it tonight with thoughts.
Okay, let's hear it.
What it's funny to me too. It's just identification, right? You identify with
Right.
something, and
And
you
you
become
kind of
it.
pick and choose which ones you're going to identify with or not. Like, but the
Yeah.
choosing is kind of just what feels right to you. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah. I don't. Yeah. Like
it's
once
almost,
again, I
it's
don't
not,
think
it's almost just
it's an
like
actual choice.
seeing
It's
which ones stick. Not that. Yeah, I wasn't trying to even contradict you. I'm just kind of thinking it through
no, yeah.
myself out loud.
But like think about this too, right? It's like there are people who make art, or like they're okay. So like there's artists, right? Someone who makes art, whatever it is, paints or makes sculptures, whatever the fuck it is, right?
Right.
And there's people who dress like they make art.
Right. Okay.
right, right. And it's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Same with musicians, right? There's people who play rock and roll music, and they look like a stereotypical guy who plays rock and roll music. And then there are people who have never touched an instrument in their life, but they also look like the guy who plays rock and roll music.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny to me that we like first off think any of this matters.
No, yeah, this is just kind of a
Because
little fun
we
thought.
truly let this stuff divide us.
Yeah.
Off.
Well, oh, I thought you meant yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a very, very strange and silly thing to do.
Oh, I mean, you want to extrapolate that into the bigger thing? It's like think about oh, I play guitar music and wear the clothing, and you just wear the clothing but don't play it. Division may exist there, or like oh, like think about high school again, or even in everyday life. It's like no, I'm the type of dude. No, it's a band. You know what I mean? It's a fucking band. You know what I mean? Look at this hat. My hair's kind of long, man. You know me. And then it's like you see another guy. It's like oh, he's wearing like whatever. He's wearing basketball shorts with like a Miami Heat jersey, or I don't know. I don't think people go around in full basketball jerseys, but he's wearing whatever. He's wearing a football jersey or something. I don't know. Like whatever. I'm trying to picture just like a random standard guy who like probably gets excited to mow his lawn and stuff like that. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you know.
He's got a white T-shirt on, and he's got basketball shorts.
Right, yeah. And it's like there's supposed to be this like difference there or something like that, or at least we're told that. Obviously as you get older you realize that's complete nonsense, but like there's still like an element of that into a lot of people's minds, especially when you bring it into more like relevant things such as I'm white and that guy's black, or like oh I'm a Christian and that's a Muslim. Oh, that's it's like at the end of the day really think about like
I know.
both of you are like people who just for something within you makes you want to like have a connection to your faith and stuff like that and live your life in the eyes of God or whatever. You're both doing that. I mean, why or do you hate like why do you have to like hate each other a little bit? I'm not saying all of them hate,
I
you know what I
know.
mean? Like
Yeah, you're touching it on the nose right now.
and what really pisses me off is like I mean the most common one that we've probably talked about on this channel in roundabout ways or even directly is like, I just said the racial thing, but it's like or we won't even talk about race. We'll talk about like just whatever, like the yeah, okay, whatever. Well, no, let's talk about like whatever, like the different ideology or whatever. Like basically the idea is like if you're some person who lives in if you're a bi-coastal elite, as it's seen a lot of the time. Okay, what does that really mean for so many people? It means like, okay, what? You live in like New Jersey or something, and you live like, it's technically considered like, oh my God, it's like, whatever. Like you live in New York, whatever. You live in New York and you live in some suburb of the city that's like, totally suburban, just like you have no, imagine this. Imagine if that were the case.
It's
In
very
some
difficult to imagine a place like this.
in
but
some
I'll try.
fantasy world, some far off land, that's where you are, where you're from. And whatever, like, I'm sure, growing up, I'm sure you've seen like, obviously there's people who like just like whatever, when you're a kid you don't really know this, but like whatever, like they just don't have that much money, right? Like it's like okay, you just don't have that much money.
There's more people around.
Yeah, they just don't have that much money. It's like whatever, okay, that's the situation. You see like, maybe their family argues a little bit. Maybe there's like some tension. Maybe like there's some repressed feelings within the household and people are just, there's like little resentment going on that's building up, whether it be for other people or for your own parents or for maybe your parents are starting to resent you or each other or any crazy type of thing could happen related to that. Then there's like a feeling of like, I gotta just get what I can and get the hell out of this situation. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to make it one day or I'm going to try to work hard, or maybe you just be like, screw it. Everything's pointless. You know what I mean? I'm not going to try. It's like, that is more of a connection than just like to some guy who lives in whatever, Alabama and is like, in the exact same situation that I just described, except he just wears not baggy, but he wears like Wrangler jeans and he wears a hat forward and he wears a tank top sometimes and he has tan lines and he talks like this a little bit. But he just doesn't like his job that much. He feels like he has to work too hard. When he thinks about it deep down, like, he probably tries to avoid these thoughts, but if he allowed them to happen, he would probably think, man, I really don't like it when my mom and daddy start hollering at each other, But for some reason, we're expected to believe like that guy is supposed to be at odds with the other guy from somewhere around New York, and it's like, why? Because like, why? Like seriously, why? Like because they're supposedly into different stuff. Like they have different like hobbies and they like different toys. That guy drives a Honda Civic while this guy drives a 2006 Chevy pickup truck or something like that. While this person drives a 2006 Honda with a hatchback because they think that's cool. Because that's their way of expressing their little individuality. Like, no, I drive like a Volkswagen and it's like, I drive like a 2004 Volkswagen GTI or whatever. That's like the same thing as like some dude being like, yeah, I picked up this like Dodge Ram 1500 or whatever. It's like, but for some reason it's supposed to be looked at as like they're opposites. It's like, oh my god.
I think that the thing is, and I think it's a personal problem at the end of the day, right? And this is the thing when it comes down to it. At the end of the day, it's taking responsibility.
Okay.
So many people have to put off a lot of their responsibility on, like, well, it's just the way it's what I've always known, or like this is the way that it is.
Oh,
The way,
okay, okay.
it's like, or like my dad was a Republican, so I'm a Republican, or
Yeah.
In my culture, it's just like that.
Right.
Yes. Or if you want to be in a rock band, you have to look like this.
Right. And you
Whatever the fuck.
And if you want to be in this type of rock band, you can't have too many effects pedals because that'll ruin the integrity of the sound and stuff. Like I was talking about myself earlier. It's like we all fall into that stuff.
Exactly. And that's like one of the things too, right? That I'm kind of talking about here. It's like the things that we have control over are like the way that we perceive things.
Okay, yeah.
And like
to an extent.
learning how to like look at ourselves and look at like our responsibility and who we are and how the world goes is a huge thing and extremely important.
Right. That's basically saying like I've one of the things that I've kind of been realizing over the past couple years is just like tradition for the sake of tradition is just, I mean, I don't want to make just such a blanket statement, but I can't think of a single example where that is beneficial in any way, shape, or form. And in fact, I can't think of an example where it's not downright destructive. Like,
you know how many times people are doing stuff just because they think they're supposed to.
Right. Exactly.
It's like these amount of times. I'm not gonna name any names here, right? But just straight up, when people are like, I don't really want to go to that, then it's like, just don't go to it. I can't believe we're doing this. Just don't do it.
Are you talking about me? I do that all the time.
No.
Oh.
Just like, I don't know, people in my family, whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You gotta go to some kind of engagement party. They don't even like the people that are involved in it.
Right. But you can't. You gotta do it.
You talk about it a lot.
What are they gonna say? Think about what
people... You don't have to do any of this stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to do any of it. Yes, you do. What?
Yeah.
No, you don't. You have to. Why? Because you're supposed to. What do you need?
Right.
What do you mean you're supposed to? What's gonna happen if you don't do it?
Right.
Well, nothing. But they'll be upset. It's like, okay, but you're upset right now.
Right. And okay, if they are upset, what does that mean to you, really? You know what I mean? What's gonna happen? Are they gonna be so upset that they end the friendship or relationship or whatever? Like they're like, I'm not inviting you anywhere ever again. I don't know. I feel like we should be striving to be in a place.
Here's the different levels of real quick. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
But like, first off, why would you want to be friends with somebody who is gonna cut you off because you don't want to do one thing.
That's
Right?
exactly what I was
it's
gonna
not
say.
like, I dislike this person. I don't want to be
Right.
involved in life.
Right.
That's because then why do you? Then it's just a weird social thing where I don't want anyone not to like me. It's a very weird, terrible idea.
That is a big part
But
of it, I
if it's
think.
if it's more serious, where it's like you're friends with this person, you like them, but they're like, can you come to do this thing that you don't want to do? And if you're like, I'm gonna go no matter what, because if I don't go, they might be upset. And if the fear is that they're gonna not be your friend anymore because of that, and they're not your friend in the first place.
Right, basically. And
You know
yeah,
what I
of
mean?
course
There's
there's
some kind of weird trauma bond that you have.
yeah, no, exactly. It's like
You know?
it's the Michael Scott moment of like what was it? He's like, I don't need to be liked. I want to be liked. I like to be liked. It's not like my desire to be praised. Oh no, it's sorry, I screwed it up. He's like, it's not like my need to be praised. It's like, it's kind of like that. I don't know, whatever. It's just my point is that people just. It seems like people kind of view like social relationships as like you can win or like you can win at it almost. Like it's like I have to be good at it. Like more like that. Like you're supposed to like maintain a certain like front that will kind of like qualify you to fall into the category of like, oh, he's a good guy, you know? Because if you don't fit into that specific box, everyone's gonna just think you're an asshole, probably, right? But it's like maybe just the people that you surround yourself with. Because basically, what are you really saying when you say that? Like, well, I got to do this stuff. Otherwise, that makes me an asshole if I don't do this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you're just hanging out with people who, if they saw how you really felt and knew you for real, if they would think you're an asshole, then you should probably just be like try to surround yourself with other people, you know, who would you can be laid back and not have to be on edge and check all the boxes. Yes, I went to the engagement party. Yes, I gave an adequate gift, and we had lunch on this day because, you know, it's been a week since I saw them. You know, like if you're checking all those boxes and it's making you unhappy, it's like there are people who don't care about that stuff. You know, you could just be friends with them or something. But it's hard. It's easier said than done. Yeah.
You find people who like you in all of your flaws.
Yeah, exactly.
And you don't have to worry about your flaws anymore, because they're not flaws, they're just things that you do.
Right, exactly.
It's perfectly fine to like not respond to texts. It's perfectly fine to just do whatever you want. You just can do whatever you want.
I have literally had situations.
You can have a best friend that you haven't spoken to in 25 years, and they can still be your best friend.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. None of this shit matters.
There's a this is a perfect wait, what?
I just laughed at none of this shit matters.
Oh yeah.
That laugh was a pat on the back for myself.
Oh my God. That's awesome. Yeah, to use a personal example, it's like you said the thing about responding to texts. I don't even remember exactly who the people were that I'm giving the example. I have vague ideas. I can narrow it down to a few people, but basically, let's put it this way, because I'm not going to say it anyway. But it's like there are situations where there are some people in my life where, like, if I'm late to respond to a text, there is now an element of like passive aggressiveness almost, or like kind of just like slight disappointment, like kind of like a remark about like, well, I mean, it's too late now, you know what I mean? Like, but like that. I'm not just reading into it, you know. And then there are other people who like, there are been situations where like someone texts me and I'm like, it's like, oh hey, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm just at home. What's up? And they're like, oh, I'm like around if you know, I was looking, maybe you want to hang out for a couple hours or something like that. And I forget to respond, whatever. I'm like, oh, let me see I might have something else going on, but like, let me text the other person and then I'll get back to them. But like, hold on, let me do this first. And then I do something else and just totally forget. And then like 4 weeks have passed or whatever. And like, I remember a specific example where I was like, the person texted me again or called me and I was like, oh my God, I just realized I didn't respond to your text that one time. And they were just like, wait, why would you apologize? And I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of like ridiculous that like, you know, you asked me what I was doing and I just like kind of just stopped responding. They're like, no, I don't know. I just assumed you were busy. I'm like, wait, what? There are people who get that, who understand that, and just like take it as like not an offensive thing, and they just are like, oh, I guess he's doing something. Instead of being like, why is he not responding in a time frame that I think he should respond in? You know what I mean? It's like, it's just so refreshing to hear that stuff from people, you know, like the good part. I mean, obviously, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, there's some small loopholes, right? Where if you're like, we're going on vacation, I'm driving.
Of
and then you
course,
still
yeah.
respond. Like, sure, like that's a personal thing. That's bad.
Of
You shouldn't
course.
do that.
Yes.
You should make it known that you're no longer driving.
Right. So that the freaking
Like-
family, it doesn't have their like goddamn egg salad sandwiches packed up in their cooler, ready to go, and they're like, you know. For some reason, I'm imagining that they're taking a long drive down to Florida to go to the beach, and for some reason, they packed the sandwiches to. Yeah, they packed the sandwiches before they even left. They didn't drive there, go to the hotel, check in, and then go pick up a sandwich from a local place. They packed it at home for the beach. You know what I mean? Down in Florida.
It's like a 2-day drive.
Right. Exactly. But
At least you
that's
don't know where they're coming from.
but that's why it's in the cooler. You know what I mean? But
Egg salad stays good for a long time. That's what I've.
yeah, it smells good in a car. But yeah, like it's just. But at the end of the day, yeah, there's a huge difference between having plans and then just like not responding when it's time to like follow through on those plans.
Like that one little caveat.
Right, but if you're just existing and you're just simply sitting on your couch watching a documentary about aliens or something like that, and then someone just enters into your life by texting you or calling you, just because phones exist and we like have normalized it so much, as it's like, you know, like at the end of the day, you're just living your life. Someone has just entered into it and said, hi, what are you doing right now? And there's like this social pressure that like, if you don't react to that in the socially acceptable way, you're an idiot. You're pathetic. You know, like you have to say, oh, what I was doing doesn't matter. Let me respond to this person. But I also got to do, like, you can't just be like pooping. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. Like, you're going to be like, oh, not much. How are you? Or whatever. Like, I mean, obviously, if you're close with the people, you can. But, like, it's like, I don't know. You get what I'm saying? And then you're, like, expected to just, like, make time for them. And if you want to, great. That's called a friendship. You know what I mean? You want to make time. It's like in the song, actually, towards the end. It doesn't feel like you're making time with them because it's just like, I want to do that. You know what I mean? I'm happy that we can spend our time together. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't feel difficult, but sometimes it will. Sometimes it's just like, I am not feeling it. And if you're really like have a good connection with the person, I'm not feeling it is just a completely normal thing to say. You know, like no one's going to be like, wow, really? What else are you doing? You know, like.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like this is like I've mentioned this before too, but it's nice to like have like regular places that I go because that's like when I go to them, I'm open to socializing. When I'm not there, I'm not open to socializing most of the time.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
If I was, so I kind of make that known a lot. I'm like, if I'm not out already, I probably don't want to be.
That's yep.
You
Yep.
know?
I definitely know what you mean by that.
You know, you can feel free to try to make plans, but if we're talking tomorrow or a few days out, I don't know if I'm going to be down.
You want to know the funny thing? We're talking about this like it's like some unique thing. I'm having to explain like getting a text or phone call is someone else entering the equation. It's not like you're like screwing up because it's like, oh, let me respond. You know, like I think a lot of people get that little anxiety when they're like, oh, I got to respond. Like, how do I say this? Like, I don't know. Like, even if it's just a little bit. But anyway, like up until what? Like I'll even, up until 2000, we'll say like 2005-ish. Up until like 2005, that was never a thing at any point in the history of the universe. At least of humanity. Where like what you described was the norm. Like if it's like, I don't know, if you live in a neighborhood where it's like kind of like a relatively, a community where you kind of see the same people, you might meet a guy at a bar and hang out and talk to him, but then you might see him at the local whatever convenience store like 2 weeks later, right? You know what I'm saying? Like if it's a community like that, it would be that type of thing where it's like, I even used to do that, and I'm not like, I wasn't I wasn't an adult in 2005, you know what I mean? But it's like even just
Well, that was the thing when we were kids. When we were young, we would just go to the place.
right, exactly. We would like just
It's Friday. Let's go to that area
we
and
would
see what's up.
we would literally just be like, "Oh, let's go to the library to skate." You know what I mean? Cuz like you just knew,
Hanging out at BK was a big thing.
right.
Like, everyone who was hanging out would usually be there at some point.
Or going to that, I won't say it even though I don't want to dox myself, but you're going to that pool, you know what I mean, to skate.
Yes.
Like you just kind of check places out and see what's happening. You know what I mean? Like you just go skate to the pool. Oh, there's like no one here. Or maybe sometimes there were. Or sometimes we would skate there and then other people would show up because they had the same thing in their mind. They were like, oh, Friday night, it's kind of nice out.
I always don't like doing like the wrangling thing. Where
Yeah.
it's like, all right, who wants to go out? Who's coming here? Let's go there. You want to go there? What are you doing? We want to go over here?
That's why one of the best,
Don't involve me in that.
I think that's why one of the best periods was that period of where you had the apartment in Brooklyn and I had the jam room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it was just like, especially we still lived kind of far away, but like for the people, not far, but you know what I mean. It's like, it's not like I could just show up in 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Like it's like, but
nowadays we live very close.
we live closer now, yeah, for sure. It would only
No. I mean, like comparatively, we lived extremely close.
Oh, compared. Yeah. I thought you were making a sarcastic joke. I was going to say that I could probably get to you in 5 minutes now, but yeah. But yeah, like, but the thing is, like, having, even like with the jam room, I talk about that a lot on here, but it's just like a room that had a lot of instruments in it that was only used for jamming, and
there was a couch.
And there was a couch and a kitchen and a fridge and a freezer and
hang out and chat and play music. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was great.
Walls,
Yeah.
bed.
It had temporary walls, so we could paint them and do whatever we wanted, basically. Not anything, but mostly. And then anyway, so, a lot of stuff was done. So yeah, and actually, yeah, a lot of stuff was done. Now that I'm thinking about more stuff,
there was nothing that seemed like it was out. Like there was nothing that came up that we wanted to do that we were like, no, we shouldn't do that.
Right, and that
just good for us. Like we weren't like, let's rip the sink out.
Right, because why would we? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we did like sometimes get like so crazed and in the moment that we would like have people like go on the ground and just kind of stomp them out for a little bit because they wanted to be punished a little. That might happen.
I mean, see, and there's a psychological thing to this too. We can get into this another day.
Right.
We've done a lot of research, let's say.
Into
we've gone through.
Yeah, we are the test experiments. Yeah.
To get to the point that we're at now, where we can talk about these things so honestly.
Right. If you haven't been on the floor, getting stomped out for fun, I don't know. Whatever. This sounds weird because there's more to it, but I don't want to go into it.
In a field, you gotta do some.
Yeah.
It helps. It helps.
And then basically, but anyway, my point was just that was such a cool time because like it kind of was like that. Like it would basically be like, it got annoying towards the end, but like at first it was so much fun to have just like, there's a central place where like people can just like at any time just call me or text me and be like, you hanging out? And I'm like, yeah, I'm just jamming a little bit. They just like come over, like, and then next thing I know, like most of the time it would work out where there would be like 3-4 of us, and someone, even if they didn't really know how to play drums, they could just hop on and just kind of like try to keep like a really simple beat, or like just mess around and just hit like only the white keys on the keyboard and just try to make like and we'll just jam in C or something, and like stuff like that, right? Like so many fun times have happened because of that. Like, and then with your place, it's awesome too, because I mean, obviously in a city environment, it's obviously more like this, I guess. Because you have your apartment, and then there's just the places right near it. And it's like, you just go to him and see what's happening. What's up? Like here, it's like, all right, where do you want to meet up? All right, do you want to get Ubers? All right, who's gonna Uber where? Okay, if I'm gonna leave my car at your house, I'm gonna have to Uber back to your house tomorrow to get it, and then, or maybe I could sleep at your house, and then maybe I could. All right, maybe I'll, or it's just like, and then like, okay, then where do we want to go? Okay, who's gonna drive there? Like, I don't. It's just like so annoying. That's why.
Well, all of that stuff is annoying. That's why, yeah. I like be untethered as
Yeah,
much as possible, and I just I and but it takes time. It takes choices. You got to
you're.
become, or or start moving more and more
That's
towards untethered life that you would like to have.
yeah. That's where it comes full circle. It's like I complain about this stuff, but is this because the people who annoy me in that way? Not that this really happens that much anymore, but like, is it because the annoyance that I felt about that was because the people I know are just idiots and they're just inconsiderate assholes? No, it's because like there's a different understanding of like how we see like
Yeah.
our time in relation to the other person's and like the level of like like time spent like together or talking to make it feel like a normal friendship.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's like I don't know. I like you said you could not talk to somebody for 20 years and they're still your best friend, but like to a more simple one, it's just like I don't know, me and you, like we'll talk like once a week. But yeah, we'll usually like send a little text throughout the week, or maybe once in a while we'll talk a little more than that or something. And when we lived closer, we talked like almost every day. But like it was like, but still, it's like that's actually an even better example than I expected. We used to live closer, and we would talk like almost every day. We would like send each other stuff, like music stuff, or just talk about stuff. Send each other like funny Snapchats and stuff.
Yeah, more often we only talk like once a week, or maybe and the day before, or twice a week. But it was usually like, "Do you want to hang out?"
Oh
Pretty
yeah, I
often.
guess I'm kind of
We would email each other songs and stuff.
yeah. I
And I feel like
guess yeah.
the broader scope of it was kind of similar to what we do now. It's like we hung out on Fridays, definitely.
Right.
You
When
know,
I
I
say
basically knew I would see you on the weekend.
right, but when I say we would talk a lot, I guess what I'm thinking about is just like I'm including like sending you send me an email with a song and then I respond 2 days later. Like that's like we
Oh yeah,
talked
yeah.
2 out of those 3 days. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But it's really just one little thing. I just mean we were in communication throughout the week. It wasn't just like, all right, bye, talk to you next week, and then like the next Friday I'm like, hey, what's up? It was like we would send each other little things throughout.
That's fair.
Little things like that. Not like we're having like long phone calls every day. I don't mean it like that. Um, but anyway, it's just like I don't know. That flexibility is something that I just love. Like don't want to feel restricted. Like I have to, it's like, well, we're friends, or like, oh, we're like you choose to have like a friendship or a relationship or just any kind an acquaintance, whatever, with a person. If you're choosing to do that, isn't it supposed to be like you're doing it because you want it and you want the things that come with that, like because you think it's gonna like have a positive effect, like it's gonna be good or fun or just like in some way beneficial. And but like if it's not, then why are you doing it at all? Like if the other person wants you to do more stuff than you want to do, why are you even doing any of it? Because you're just and I don't know. It's just confusing. I mean, I don't have the answer. But it
There's step one is obviously you have a conversation about each other's wants and needs, right?
right,
Especially if they're not, and boundaries are important, right? You
of
set
course.
boundaries. Say, hey, listen, I don't, and then you figure out there, right? If then you're not aligned, and you're like, this guy's like, hey, listen, I really want to be able to demand all the time from you that I want, and I don't really care that you don't want to hang out with me. I need you to hang out with me. And you're like, that's not good with me. Then you got to go your separate ways.
Right. If only it were that easy. In fact, but unfortunately, the conversation would probably be more like something like, "Oh my god, this person's so annoying," and then the other person's thinking like, "Oh my god, this person is like so flaky." Like, and then but then you just don't ever bring it up, and then you see each other next time and just like, "Yo, what's up? Oh, how you doing?"
Yeah.
And then if you do, and then finally, yeah, I don't know. And then if someone did bring it up, like, "Hey, why, I ask you to hang out and you like never really respond, or like you always like bail, or like you don't ever agree to do it." And then like the other person could respond and be like what are you talking about? That's not true. You know what I mean? Like, what is that? What does that lead to? You know what I mean? That's one thing that I'm starting to realize is like, there's almost like no real reason to ever like really have a reaction to something that's like argumentative or something. I mean, that's a kind of an extreme statement.
Well, it's so funny. I said the same thing recently.
Yeah.
There was two people like bickering, and then one person left or whatever. And I'm just like, and the person afterward was like, why would they, talking shit about it? I was like, when people do stuff like that, all you have to do is just be quiet and let them, because majority of the time they'll dig themselves into whatever weird hole they are digging.
Sure.
If it's not like coming from anywhere, right? If someone's like being argumentative with you, and it's hard, obviously, because we all have our shit, and there's certain things that come up that irk me, especially with certain people.
Yeah.
Right? You get the knee jerk response, and it's extremely important to pay attention to them, but it's definitely a thing, and it's true where you're just like, you want to get fucking involved.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And it sucks because it doesn't really do anything, because it's only like every single time that I've had an argument, and I think goes for most people, it never ends with like, oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Right. And even when it does,
what happens is you after the argument ends, nothing happens during the argument. It's just like two people pushing at something with the same amount of strength. Nothing happens. And it's only like later when you talk about why that even happened in the first place that you start to like be like, oh, I see where you're coming from. When people's fucking shit.
Right. I was just about to say, like, you said it never results in people being like, oh, I see what you mean. And I was going to say, like, even when it does, it's not during the argument. It's not like when you say, like, you don't even know what you're talking about. That's the moment the light bulb goes off and the person's like, wow, you're right. I don't know what I'm talking about. No, it's like once you kind of like reach your wit's end, kind of, and you're just like, I don't know. All I'm trying to say is just this, and I just feel this way, and I'd appreciate if maybe we could just be more like straightforward about that stuff in the future. That's all. Then it's like that's when you make progress. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
that usually doesn't happen, right? I think you get
right. There needs to be like a little cool down, I guess. A lot of the time.
Yeah, it is tough. I hate that feeling so much too. I do not like that feeling of just like, oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh my god, I can't even. Yeah,
it sucks.
I can't even imagine at this point.
I'm having weird flashbacks now, just the feeling of like bickering. It's never been with a random. No, not to that extent. It's only been with significant people that have been dating and stuff.
Yeah.
Parents and shit and that.
Right.
That's where it all comes from at the end of the day, anyway.
Yeah. And I say I can't imagine, but I mean, it happens too. But yeah.
Yeah. You're not seeing me, and I need you to see me. I need you to see me. Stop yelling at me. I'm gonna yell at you until you stop yelling at me.
Right. There's where it really starts.
Now you're hurting me so bad that I want to crush you like a bug.
That's you speaking or them?
Verbally. Oh, I have felt that way many times.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have in my life.
Terrible. Like I just said, it's a terrible fucking feeling. You're like, oh, and you get so,
right.
Terrible. I never want to feel that way again.
Right. Because when you peel it back, it really is just, I want you to, like, really what you're saying when you're saying that negative stuff or whatever. Yeah, when you're saying fuck you, you're kind of more like saying, I wish you would give what I'm saying more credit and like actually take me a little more seriously and hear me out and don't just write me off just because you've already decided that what I'm saying is kind of like something you don't agree with. Just try to open your mind up a little bit and just hear me out and just understand where I'm coming from. Like I feel like that's pretty much
exactly
what you're looking for in like every argument, like
it sucks. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
And then the part of it too is you catch bad habits through your life of how to deal with those situations.
Oh hell yeah!
It takes a long time to get that shit out of your head and start like thoughtfully responding to stuff instead of just fucking.
Yeah, no. Like I said,
muscle memory.
Yeah, just because I said I realize that this is pointless now doesn't mean I don't do it. I mean, I try not to do it. I'm a lot more conscious of it. But there's definitely times where where I do it and I'm like, oh my god, I'm doing that right now. But all you
Yeah,
can do is try. Like,
yeah. It does. It takes two to tango,
yeah,
but yeah, it's when two people's fucking toxic behaviors feed into each other and create a shitty bullshit argument. It's not good,
yeah.
and it's worth paying attention to.
Dude, why is that so funny?
Because it's hard to, because then you're like, and once things are better, we've all had bad relationships, I think,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
good ones. That's the problem. They're good too,
yeah. I just
but
can't
it's
believe like it's. Think about how many people are going around, right? Going around in a relationship. We'll just say like a romantic relationship, and they really just they really think like it's just no, she's just crazy. No, she's just no, she's good and all, but like she's just crazy. And that's really their understanding of like why they argue and like why there's like friction sometimes and why she keeps like she's so crazy. She keeps like just complaining about the same thing over and over again. I tell her like how it is and then she just keeps complaining about it. It's like you're like bruh, like like it's not. Maybe she's not crazy. Maybe she's just telling you that she feels a certain way, and you're saying, "Oh, you're crazy." And then that, like, imagine if someone did that to you. Imagine if you said, whatever you say, and then she's just like, "Oh my god, you're just crazy," and you're like, "Wait, what? No, I'm telling you something." And you're like, "See, look at you acting all crazy." And then you're like, "Oh my god, what are you talking about? I'm just trying to talk to you." And then they're like, "Why are you acting all crazy? Relax. Stop yelling." Like, you know what I mean? Like, what does that do to a person? It's like,
yeah, no, it's true.
yeah.
We are goofy creatures,
Oh, hell yeah.
but know what, just try to pay attention to what you're doing. That's all. That's one of my words of wisdom to the audience. It's tough. It's fucking tough, but try.
Yeah. I'm learning
We
from
all
this too, by the way. What's that?
what?
I said I'm learning from this too, by the way. I don't mean I'm
Oh
like
yeah,
I'm
that's the
the
thing.
reason why I like talking about this is because it's something I think about a lot because I'm trying to, improve upon, just
Hey,
my who I want to be, like stuff like
that's
that.
only why. Yeah, no, I learn and speak this way and know about this stuff because I want to like feel better than other people.
A lot of people are like that. Or like
Really?
I feel like a lot of people would also be like the reason why I want to talk about this stuff and speak this way is because I used to not have the answers and now I have them. So I just want to let everyone else know the right way. You know what I mean? Which there are certain things where that can be the case, but not as far as like how to be a person, how to like,
Well, I think the funny thing is that all we're saying too is that there is no right way.
right, exactly. I guess that's yeah, the point, yeah. But when it
There,
comes
there,
to having
there
answers,
are tools that I have learned and you have learned through time that are helpful to share, and
right, right.
that's it.
Right. And that's not to
And
say
whatever works for you is fine, I guess. But also, like, don't be a capitalist pig.
I was literally just about to say like the only time like you can make affirmative statements that aren't just like, "Hey, I'm just learning. I don't want to say that my way is the right way," but if you believe that having private prisons and military contractors and healthcare companies and insurance companies is in any way good, then
You live in the
honestly,
past.
you are just crazy. Sorry, but no, you're not crazy. You've been taught something and
You've been taught wrong.
you just haven't gotten to the point in your life yet. You haven't gotten to that point on the river yet where it's gonna give you that little push in the direction where you're like, "Oh my god, it makes sense now. I do get what's going on around here." You just got to keep your eyes open so that you see, okay, let's just drift down here and see what happens here. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
because if you want, you can just close your eyes all the time and just be like, "No, I already know. It's this way because this is the good way." It was like that when I was a little kid and everything was fine back then. So like what are you complaining about now? Like, like I liked mac and cheese and like my mom let me eat it like once every week or two. And you're complaining about like people going bankrupt from medical debt? Bro, like what? Like I don't know. Maybe that's a stretch, but I'm just saying, like, as a little kid, you don't. Whatever.
I feel it.
Just
You wanna
go
take
with
a
it.
quick little fiver? I have to urinate.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. BRB, folks. Spelt with an X, by the way. Let's be inclusive.
Ooh.
The non-gendered version of folks. Because an individual folk is a gendered language. Just kidding. I don't know why I'm making this stupid joke right now.
Is that true?
No, I'm kidding. It's just, you ever see people do that? They'll type out like FOLX instead of like FOLKS. And I think it's supposed to be kind of like the whole like Latin X thing, like instead of like Latino, Latina, because that's like gendered language. So they put like Latin X. And when I say they, I mean, I don't think a lot of people do
Not
this, but
Latino people.
I don't think, I'm going to be honest, I think it's probably mostly like,
Middle-aged white women.
yeah, or
college age white.
yes,
people.
college. I was thinking college age white people, but
I gotta pee.
anyway, yeah, okay, be right back. And we're back.
All right, sorry to disappoint.
Oh yeah. I almost just zoned out. Like, and we're back. We literally just talked about how we're gonna
We are
sign off. How do I get rid of this stupid ass thing?
we we've been going for an hour and a half. I feel like we had a nice kind of concise-ish conversation about being a person and making it known or not making it known, whatever you choose.
Yeah, but at least make it known to yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Try to. Don't try to.
Don't try.
That's actually kind of the point. Stop trying so hard. Just do what's right. Do what feels right. Does it feel right, really? Does it really feel right to drink a 12-pack and then get behind the wheel of a vehicle? No. So obviously when I say do what feels right, I don't mean just like literally do whatever comes to your mind and just follow every impulse at any given turn.
Yeah.
Maybe not that far, but
Yeah, I mean, see, this is the rule, right? Do whatever you want, as long as it just doesn't get in the way with somebody else doing whatever they want.
right. Yeah. There you
Right?
go.
Or like, don't ruin someone else's fun time. I think I've said that multiple times.
There you go. Yeah. Well, that's the wisdom that we have
gathered.
put out into the world. I can't even take myself seriously trying to call it that, but whatever. That's we like it, so
Anyway, new year, same men.
yeah.
It's good to be here. We'll be here all this year.
Yes, and if anyone has made it this far, hopefully next time, if there were any audio issues, they'll be fixed. But who knows? Well,
we'll see. We'll see.
I guess that's about it.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for coming, everybody.
Peace.
This is the Pine Men.